Previously, we've seen PHP and Smarty, both of which are third-party open-source tools that can help us do things that we want to do in PHP. And they help us to not reinvent the wheel. They do things that we could probably create for ourselves if we wanted to put a lot of time and energy into it. We can take advantage of the work that someone else has already done. We can think of them as being libraries of code that we can call upon. Well, there are some PHP community-supported libraries as well, where we can also find lots of other great extensions and resources. The first of these is Pair. And you'll hear a lot of people in the PHP community talk about Pair. Are you using Pair? PHP Extension and Application Repository is what it stands for. Pair is a compilation of lots of different bits of code that can help you to do things faster. The second one is Pickle, or Pickle, and it's PECL. It stands for PHP Extension Community Library, and you can find it at pecl.php.net. It's very similar to Pair. My suggestion would be to first go to Pair and see if you can find what you're looking for, and if not, then go to Pickle. The kinds of code that you'll find in there include database connectivity, encryption, caching, benchmarking, internationalization. Lots of those kinds of common tasks that developers are faced with writing, they provide for you by just installing these extensions. Now, in addition to libraries, I also want to talk to you about frameworks. And you may be wondering, well, what's the difference between a framework and a library? Well, if a library takes certain common tasks that we do often and makes them easier by having code that we can reuse, a framework takes the overall process of web development and makes that something that we can reuse. So for example, when we created our photo gallery class, we created a session class that would allow us to interact with our session. And we had another one called pagination, and another one that was for our database connectivity. Well, frameworks typically handle all of that for you and more. They also usually have predefined places where you put your code. So you put your models in one place, your controllers in another, and your templates or views in a third place. Now all of them vary in the way that they handle that, so you'll want to evaluate each framework for its strengths and weaknesses. These are what I would consider the top 6 frameworks to take a look at. I've got them in alphabetical order. Now I haven't personally used all of these, so don't take it as any kind of a recommendation, but it is a resource for you to go check out because I think these are the ones that get mentioned most often by other people. Now, a framework is essentially what we were beginning to create ourselves, right, with our photo gallery application. And so you'll have to ask yourself each time, well, is it better to just go ahead and build it myself and reuse parts from old projects I've done, bring in bits from the Pair library? Should I do that instead of using one of these frameworks? A lot of times with these frameworks, you'll have to sort of learn the way they like to do things. And there can be a learning curve associated with that. So sometimes that's not the best solution for you. Sometimes you're better if you can just sort of write it yourself really fast and easy. But the one thing that you should definitely make sure is true is that any framework you choose should do things better than what we've been able to do here. Because I think we've started down the path to building a pretty nice framework. So you certainly have those capabilities. You have the ability to write your own without using these. So just make sure that anything you choose is going to be better than what you could have done on your own.